मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णकृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम। Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees and viewers for this wonderful program of Holy Dham Tour online Tirth Yatra. Today we are going to commence and speak and discuss with all of you the Holy Dham of Janakpur. Janakpur is a very famous place. It has been his names have been described in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranas, and etc. Janakpur is primarily associated with the very devotional role of King Janak, and especially with the place where Mother Sita was brought up, and the place where Lord Sri Ram married Sita. So today's Janakpur, which is actually part of Mithila. Mithila was the kingdom of King Janak, and Mithila was quite huge. In today's context, Mithila comes partly in Nepal and partly in India. And India, it's in the Bihar state more likely. So we can say that Janakpur or Mithila, which was once a full kingdom, is now, because of geographical division, half in Nepal and half in India. So the city of Janakpur, which we are describing as Dham here, where the palace of King Janak was, is today in Nepal, but it's on the borders. It is said around 20 kilometers from the Indian border, from the Bihar state. Is a beautiful holy place of Janakpur. So Janakpur has, as I mentioned, that Mithila is a kingdom. So Mithila is partly in India and partly in Nepal. So there are many places associated with Sita Devi and Janak Maharaj, being Mithila, part of Mithila. Some pastime places are in Nepal and some pastime places are in Indian side. So we'll discuss all this today as we move on in our discussion. So Janakpur, if you want to visit Janakpur today, there can be many ways you can visit Janakpur. You can go by air through Kathmandu in Nepal, or you can also go by road and rail if you visit through Bihar. One of the closest station, well connected with rail and road, is Jayanagar. From Jayanagar, it's hardly 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers around, and a lot of facilities are also there. So Jayanagar, Darbhanga, Sitamarhi, Muzaffarpur, these are the places that people go from there. So this is some outlet place from where we can visit Janakpur Dham. Today in our discussion, we will primarily first discuss the pastimes of this beautiful place Janakpur, associated with Sita Devi, Janak Maharaj, and the great saints and devotees from this place. Then we will move on to the discussion of various holy places within Janakpur city. And then later on, we will also see many holy places around Janakpur connected to the pastimes of Sita. So we begin with the first section of the beautiful pastimes of Srimad Sita and all other associates of Sita Devi. So as you all know, this Janakpur happens to be the place where Mother Sita was married. So let us try to recollect beautiful pastime of Sita's marriage with Lord Ram in Ramayana. The story starts in this way, that Vishwamitra Muni, who is performing a yagya in Siddhashram, comes one day to the court of Dashrath Maharaj. Seeing Vishwamitra Muni, Dashrath Maharaj is very happy. He welcomes him in a royal fitting manner, makes him sit down, asks how can he serve him. And Vishwamitra Muni, without much of a delay, he mentions the mission of his. He says, in Siddhashram, I am doing a yagya, but Every time I do a yagya, there are two demons, Subahu and Marichi. They are the one who causing trouble and destroy all the yagyas. So I want some help from you. I want some help wherein these demons can be kept at bay or killed. Dashrath Maharaj became immediately ready. Yes, tomorrow, or rather today, whenever you want, I will start from here on a mission with all my army, and there I will be guarding your yagya and kill these demons. How dare they can even trouble you? So Vishwamitra Muni said, well, don't require a big army for that. I just require two people from your side. Two people. Who are these? I want your son Ram and Lakshman. Dashrath Maharaj could not believe it. How can he ask my young sons? They are not even achieve adolescence. They are still in young age, young kids. They have just completed their education from the ashram of Vasishtha. How can you ask for them? So he says, well, they are very small. Why don't I come with you? You need the mission to be accomplished, right? So what's wrong? I can come. They are small. Maybe next time when they grow up, they can do some other service. Vishwamitra Muni said, I already decided. I want only them, not anyone else. So Dashrath Maharaj understands that now he cannot play around, because Vishwamitra Muni is known for his mission and his determination. So immediately Dashrath Maharaj reluctantly agreed, okay, you can take Ram and Lakshman with you. It was very heavy heart. Dashrath Maharaj was very attached to his sons, especially Lord Ram. So now Vishwamitra Muni brings Lord Ram and Lakshman on his way to Siddhashram. The beautiful journey of Lord Ram and Lakshman with Vishwamitra is discussed and described in details in Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. Of how beautifully Lord Ram keeps asking many things, of many events, many places, and Vishwamitra Muni very beautifully narrates all those stories. So it is said that Vishwamitra Muni finally brings Lord Ram and Lakshman to Siddhashram. And to cut the whole story short, when Subahu and Marich they attack Siddhashram, that time it is mentioned Lord Ram he kills Subhahu and with another arrow he shots at Maricha and he is thrown thousands of yojanas and miles away from that place. So this way the yagya was done. Vishwamitra Muni was very happy. And Vishwamitra Muni told Lord Ram and Lakshman, now if you want, I can arrange for you to go back to your kingdom. So Lord Ram said, we would like to stay more with you for a few more days. Vishwamitra Muni said, I could have stayed here, but I have something more to do. I am on my way to Mithila, to the kingdom of King Janak. So Lord Ram said, can we also come with you? So Vishwamitra Muni was very happy. Vishwamitra Muni was a Trikal Darshi. He knew the past, present, and future. So you could understand that this is the pastime of Lord Ram. He has to go to Mithila, and I am the instrument in this. So Vishwamitra Muni starts on a journey from Siddhashram to the place of Mithila, King Janakpur's capital city of Janak. King Janak Maharaj's capital city of Janakpur. So as they are going, again the description is there of beautiful places. There are stories of how Ganga Devi Ganga Devi came on the earth planet. There is a story of how Ganga meets the river Sona, how Ganga meets river Sarayu, and the beautiful banks of Ganga, and go on and so forth. The beautiful Gandaki river meets Ganga. All this on the way. There are beautiful pastimes which unfold in Ramayana. And finally, there are many places which we'll discuss in due course of time. Then finally, they reach Mithila. So it is mentioned that Janak Maharaj had kept a Swayamvar, a particular event in which he had kept a Shiva Dhanush, the great bow of Lord Shiva. And he kept the great bow of Lord Shiva as a prize trophy for winning the hand of Sita, his beloved daughter. Sita was of marriageable age. She is goddess of fortune herself. And Janak Maharaj, it is mentioned that had kept kept an kept kept some rules and regulations of how Sita could be won in marriage. And the rule was very simple. All the people who had assembled their great kings and generals, they were supposed to lift that Shiva Dhanush, the bow of Lord Shiva, and had to string the bow. Looks to be a very simple thing for any Kshatriya or a king, right? But Shiva Dhanush was very heavy, full of, it's like a big loaded thing. Even to get that Shiva Dhanush to that arena where this whole event was happening, it took around hundreds and hundreds of very built people who had to literally lift it with all their energy and all their cries and finally push that Dhanush here. And here it was. Someone had to lift it all alone. So in that beautiful event, Vishwamitra Muni also was assembled along with him, Ram, Lakshman. Everyone's eyes were actually completely absorbed in the beauty of Ram and Lakshman. It is mentioned that the residents of Janakpur, when they saw Lord Ram, they felt that he is a perfect fit for our beloved Sita Devi. So internally, actually, Janakpur residents had already accepted Lord Ram as their son-in-law. However, the event had to happen. So all the kings and generals came and tried their best. Some of them tried to lift by two hands. They could not. They were so when they could not lift with two hands. They were so. They didn't feel any shy in bringing their own people more. But 10 people are trying to lift the whole thing, but they could not lift it. So it was very difficult. Finally, everyone tried, and no one could do it. And so Janak Maharaj was feeling very devastated. This was second or third time this was happening, and no one could lift the Shiv Dhanush. And Janak was thinking, now maybe I will not do it again. Maybe my child, beloved Sita, will never marry. At that time, Vishwamitra Muni, he just saw towards Lord Ram and gave an indication by his eyes. Lord Ram was not interested in any event. He was only interested in serving. So here was Vishwamitra giving him another chance of serving him. So he moved ahead, took the blessings of Vishwamitra Muni, all the great sages assembled there. Then he also took blessings of all elderly people, including Janak Maharaj, and he walked towards the Shivadhanush. All the eyes were glued to Lord Ram. Lord Ram went to that place. First, he offered obeisance to Lord Shiva's Dhanusha. Then it is mentioned he touched his hand to his head and finally, without much effort, just lifted the Shiv Dhanush like that. When he lifted the Shiv Dhanush, it made a tremendous sound. People were surprised how such a young man, young princess could lift the Shiv Dhanush from where he got his power from. So amidst all that, now Lord Ram had to string that Dhanush. So he took the string of the Dhanusha, the bow, and while he was stringing, he stringed it so tight, and the Shiv Dhanush broke into three pieces. And that sound went on throughout all the universe, shattered a lot of things. It was like an earthquake, tsunami, all together. That sound of breaking of Shivadhanush. After some time, when things got all okay, then Janak Maharaj was so happy to see this event. He got Sita Devi in front of Lord Ram and said, please marry her. And Lord Ram said, what marriage? Janak was surprised. Lord Ram said, I have not come to marry anyone here. I did this because my guru Vishwamitra Muni told me. So Janak Maharaj looked at Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni told Lord Ram that someone who breaks this vow has to marry Sita. That's the principal laid here. And Lord Ram said, well, how can I do that? Vishwamitra Muni said, okay, I am a guru. I am telling you to break the vow. Now I am telling you to marry Sita. And Lord Ram said, I cannot deny you, but because I should also take permission of my parents, how can I marry without their permission? So Vishwamitra Muni was completely overwhelmed by the beautiful devotion and the duty-bound nature of Lord Ram. Janak Maharaj was very surprised the way this young prince was following etiquettes. So the letter was sent by Janak Maharaj to Dashrath. When Dashrath heard the news that my son has broke the Shiv Dhanush and won the hand of Sita, he was so happy. Immediately sent a letter that he is happy for the marriage and is coming for the marriage. So now from here, Vashishta Muni and Dashrath Maharaj took a big retinue of people along with her wives, the queens, Kaushalya, Kaikai, Sumitra, and all the brothers of Lord Ram. Happily, Lord Ram is getting married. So as they were carrying all the different paraphernalia, they also decided to carry a palanquin. Vashishta Muni said, we cannot carry a palanquin empty because we're going for a marriage. The bridegroom should be inside. So Dashrath Maharaj said, well, the bridegroom is already in Mithila. How can we carry him? So put Bharat inside. Bharat, but he's not getting married. No, 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 you just put him inside, he'll also get married. So Vasishtha Muni knew everything. So then what happened is the The palanquin, the procession went, reached Mithila. And there's a beautiful description of how Lord Ram married Sita Devi. So it is said that after the marriage, immediately Vashishta Muni said, well, Sita also has one more sister. Her name is Urmila. And he proposed, why not Lakshman marry Urmila? And then the proposal came later that Janak Maharaj also had a brother whose name was King Kushathwaja. He also had two daughters, Manvi and Shrutakirti. Mandvi and Shrutakirti. So Mandvi and Shrutakirti could also be married. So Mandvi was married to Bharat and Shrutakirti was married to Shatrughna. In this way, all the four sons of Dashrath Maharaj got married to Janak Maharaj and his brother. So this pastime, beautiful pastime, happened in Mithila. So it is described in great detail in Mithila in Ramayana about this beautiful event. It is also mentioned. It is also mentioned that Janak Maharaj, who lived and ruled this place, his glories are sung in many Puranas. Like for example, it is mentioned that Janak Maharaj ruled like an ideal king, but actually he was a Mahabhagavat. He did not need to follow any duty, but he did that out of an example for others. Even Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that one should lead others by example. Hmm. One should set up an example for others to follow, even though one may be beyond the rules and regulations. So, in that particular section of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna quotes the example of Janak Maharaj. That how Janak Maharaj, he, even though he was a great Mahabhagavat, beyond all rules and vidhis because of his perfected his life in Krishna consciousness. Still, to set up an example, yad yad achariti shreshtas, just to set up an example, he did his duty as a king. So Janak Maharaj, he was a Mahabhagavat and he always wanted to hear Krishna Katha. But somehow that because of being a king, he would not get time to hear Krishna Katha. And he then explained this problem and concern to his advisory board of great sages. And they requested him that why don't you arrange a Bhagavad Katha? So Janak Maharaj said that's a very brilliant idea. So they all decided to have Bhagavad Katha in the evening time. So that will suit Janak Maharaj also. So there was and Janak Maharaj said, not just for me, it should be for everyone in Janakpur. So each and every member of Janakpur, all of them came to were welcome to come. The huge pandal, huge tent was built up where everyone sat down and great rishis turn by turn they spoke Bhagavatam. And Janak Maharaj also sat in that assembly. Janak Maharaj would sometimes not able to come on time because of his various activities as a king. But the Bhagavad Kathaka would speak, would wait till Janak Maharaj come. Because Janak Maharaj was the one who actually who followed Bhagavatam in his life. Here was a book Bhagavatam rendition recitation going on, and here was a person Bhagavatam was coming to hear this Bhagavatam. So this would happen for many days that sometimes Bhagavatam would not stand just because Janak Maharaj has not come. Some people in the audience were thinking, why then they are waiting? Bhagavatam should not wait for anyone, right? Bhagavatam is Katha, and why should they wait for a king? The king is so busy in so many material things. So material things should not stop the spiritual activities. So there was a doubt or some kind of a, second thought in many people's mind at the attachment of Janak Maharaj that see we are all coming on time. Why can't Janak Maharaj come on time? So that kind of thing was breeding in their life. So the Bhagavad Kathakas understood this point, and therefore they devised a very amazing plan to prove everyone that how Janak Maharaj was actually great Mahabharata. So one time when the Pandal, all the Katha was going on, beautiful Katha, Janak Maharaj was hearing with rapt attention. Everyone was hearing in rapt attention, thousands and thousands of people there. Suddenly a few people, as per a plan, came running and shouted that in Janakpuri there is a fire and many of the houses are getting burned by the fire. Your family is in trouble, all your wealth will get destroyed. Run, please run. So people got up and ran to check, to kind of check if their house is on fire. And if this house is on fire, let's put water and extinguish the fire. So the whole pandal became empty. Everyone's running here and there to get the houses intact. Only Janak Maharaj remained there. And he said, continue Bhagavad Katha. Bhagavad Katha was continuing and he also continued hearing Bhagavad Katha. Someone came, one of the plan was, someone from that group came and said, Janak Maharaj, you are, even your house is on fire, your family is crying. Janak Maharaj said, Krishna will take care. Lord will take care. Right now, Bhagavad Katha is going on. Bhagavad is going on. What is the problem? When problem happened, then we see that great souls take shelter of Krishna, take shelter of the Lord, take shelter of Bhagavad. So taking shelter of Bhagavatam. So he continued to sit there and Bhagavatam continued. That was his faith. People went to Janakpur city and they saw there is no fire. They came back and they understood that the whole Bhagavatam is still continuing and only person sitting in the audience is Janak Maharaj. Hey, Janak Maharaj is not good. His house also was on fire, was declared like that. And they all came to know that Janak Maharaj actually is anasakta, detached, right? He is doing all that just for all of us. And they came to conclusion that indeed Janak Maharaj is indeed a Mahabhagavat. So this was the story happened there, beautiful in the king of Mithila Nagari, Mithila Desh. It is also mentioned that Janak Maharaj, he was always taking the role of an ordinary conditioned soul, and through that role, he would always instruct and guide his citizens. As we know, he was a great saint, he was a great Rajarishi, he was a great Mahajan as well. So one time, it is mentioned when Janak Maharaj was sitting in his palace on his throne, Ashtavakra Muni came to that place. Ashtavakra Muni had a particular way of deformation in his body, and therefore when he walked, because he was Ashtavakra, he was bend, his body was bent in 8 places, he would walk in a different odd style. So when he entered, people offered respect, but many people who did not know his glories, they were kind of laughing and giggling at the way he was walking. Janak Maharaj saw Ashtavakra Muni, immediately came down, offered pranam, brought him to his own Vyasasan and Rajgaddi, his throne, and made him sit. And Ashtavakra Muni said, what is this? Why should I sit here? He said, no, you should sit here. No, you are Maharaj, you should sit here. But you are also Maharaj, you are also king, king of control of mind and senses. So you should also sit here. So he made him sit there and wash his feet, thorough welcome. And then like a conditioned soul, acting like a conditioned soul, Janak Maharaj said, Ashtavakra Muniji, I can ask you how you are, but I wish to know how I can benefit by your association. I am always in Maya, right? I want to know how to overcome Maya. How can Maya who is controlling me, is that control can be taken away. So Ashtamukra said, Maya is controlling you, Maya is controlling you, Maya is controlling you. And Ashtamukra smiled and he laughed, got up from the throne and started running in his deformed way. And Janak Maharaj thinking, why is he running? Everyone was astonished, why is he running? He ran out of the palace. Janak Maharaj followed him. Everyone else followed him. He ran out of the palace, saw a huge tree, went and caught hold of the tree. And he said, leave me, leave me, leave me, leave me. Janak Maharaj said, Maharaj, what are you doing? You're catching hold of the tree and saying, leave me, leave me. You give up the tree and you can be free. Ashtamukra turned around and said, that's my answer to your question. Who is saying Maya is controlling us? We are catching Maya. We want Maya. We want to be illusioned. The day when we decide we don't want to be illusioned, we take a Krishna consciousness seriously, then Maya will not do anything to you. What a beautiful answer. It's an experiential learning, a beautiful answer through an example of act. But Janak Maharaj gave that example, got this example because he acted like a conditioned soul. And in turn, he answered all the relevant messages were for his congregation, for his citizens in the kingdom. So this is the greatness of Janak Maharaj. It is said that Sita Devi is the prime entity in the whole of Mithila, right? And it is said that not just in Mithila, but in Ayodhya as well. Not just in Ayodhya and Ramayana as well. Yes, this is what is declared by sage Valmiki Rishi. Sage Valmiki Rishi, he wrote Ramayana. But Vaishnava Acharya has also mentioned that thought that Ramayana means the character of Lord Ram. or journey of Lord Ram. So all the journey of Lord Ram was because of Mother Sita. So Ramayana can also be called as Ramayan. Rama means Mother Lakshmi or Sita. Ramayan. Ramayan is journey of Sita. So for that, what happened? Lord Ram always was so beloved to Sita that he always followed wherever Sita went and always wanted to give her pleasure. In fact, Valmiki mentions that he got the credit of writing Ramayana because of the blessings of his guru and because of the service he received from that blessings. He mentions that I got blessings of my guru, Narad Muni. He recollects that he was a dacoit, a plunderer in a forest, and then he was transformed into a devotee by Narad Muni. So, as a devotee, because being a dacoit and a plunderer, he did not have much education. But here he was, without much education, here he was able to write Ramayana in beautiful Sanskrit poetry, perfect poetry, discussing everything about the life of Lord Ramachandra and his associates. So he felt that Narad Muni, his guru, empowered him to get this particular service of writing Ramayana. And he felt he could write Ramayana because he was getting a chance to serve Sita. We all know when Ramayana was written, that was the time when Sita also was kind of banished by Lord Ram out of the duty to his citizens and was sent to sage Valmiki Rishi's ashram. So Sita stayed in Valmiki's ashram and then she gave birth to twins, Lava and Kush, all that while Ramayana was being written. At the end of Ramayana, then Valmiki Rishi was thinking of how this Ramayana could go all over the world and preached. And the first disciples he decided were none other than the children of Sita and Ram, Love and Kush, who then went on to preach this Ramayana everywhere. So we can find here that how Sita Devi is a very important, a pivotal role in the whole Ramayana scriptures. It is said that there are many more stories in this connection. There is a connection of how uh, Parshuram Maharaj also came to Mithila. It is said that Parshuram Maharaj, he was Lord Parshuram. He came there, and when he came there, he brought with him the Shiva Dhanush. Shiva Dhanush came to Mithila by the process, by the help or by he was carried by Lord Parshuram there. So Lord Parshuram, he came, he kept the Shiv Dhanush in one corner on a table, and then he was discussing with Janak Maharaj certain things because which he had come for that reason. So while he was doing that thing, Sita, who was still a small child, was moving around, and she looked at the Dhanush bow, and she saw that as a very nice play toy. So she picked up the Shiva Dhanush and started playing with Dhanush. And after some time, when she finished playing, she kept it on another place, some other place. So Parshuram finished the discussion, Janak Maharaj, and came, and then he was searching for his Dhanush. Where is Dhanush? Then he looked around and he saw Dhanush was some other place. He was surprised. He told Janak Maharaj, this Shiv Dhanush is so heavy. I only can lift this Shiv Dhanush. Lord Shiva can lift this Shiv Dhanush. No one ordinary person can lift this Shiva Dhanush. Who has lifted this Shiv Dhanush? So Janak Maharaj thought like it's a very big aparadha or what. So he searched everywhere and came to know that Sita had lifted and shifted that Dhanush. So with a reluctance said, I'm sorry, my small child Sita, girl, she did that. Parshuram said, where is that small girl? Bring the girl here. She got a small child Sita. She's a blessed lady. She's not an ordinary lazy lady. She has lifted this Shuddhanush which no one can lift. So when you get her married, be sure that she should have a husband who is either equal or more in strength to her. So when you marry her, uh, keep the whole swayamvar where the person who's going to marry her will have to lift the Shiv Dhanush, so that means then both are equal in strength, and more strength means he should string that Shiv Dhanush. So in this way we can see how Parshuram is coming to Mithila and Sita Devi is lifting that Shiv Dhanush and led to the event of Swayamvara, where Lord Ram later came and picked up the Shiv Dhanush and stripped the Shiv Dhanush. So this is about Parshuram coming and getting the Shiv Dhanush here. As we all see that Sita Devi was born somewhere after Lord Ram's appearance. Even in the calendar we see first Ram Navami comes and then Sita Navami comes. So Vaishnavacharya has mentioned very beautiful point Sita, she's a perfect chaste wife. She follows Lord Ram perfectly well. So perfectly well that Lord Ram is born on Navami. She was also born on Navami. What amazing. Both are born on Navami. Now, another thing of interest is if you see Sri Radha and Krishna's appearance days also, Jayantis, you'll find the same thing. Krishna was born on Ashtami, Janmashtami. Radha was born on Radhashtami. Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. So Sri Radha also follows in footsteps of Krishna. That's how Lakshmi Narayan, Radha Krishna, Sita Ram are always like that. Sita is a perfect chaste wife of Lord Ramachandra. So Sita has many many names. Few names which we would like to describe now is one is Janaki. Why? Because she's daughter of Janak Maharaj. So she got the name Janaki. One name is she is called Maithili because she was in Mithila and she was the most beloved of all people in Mithila. So she became Maithili. One more name is Sita. Sita is a popular name. From where this word Sita came? Now let's look at a beautiful story of. Uh, we will look at this story later. Sita came from the word of a plow. So we'll see how Sita, this word came when we hear the story of Sita's beautiful pastime of birth. So the description of all the great kings now. Now we move on to the discussion of pastime places within Janakpur. So the first pastime place which we can all see here is Janki Mahal. Janki Mahal is a very place where Sita Devi was staying in the palace of Janak Maharaj. Since long time there are beautiful temples, and in due course in 1911, one of the great kings of this area, he made a beautiful temple, almost like a palace. You can see this beautiful palace, Janaki Mahal. So the Janaki Mahal commemorates the place where Sita Devi stayed in her house. Next to Janaki Mahal, very close by, is called as Vivaha Mandap, Sita Vivaha Mandap. What is this Vivaha Mandap? There's a beautiful courtyard, a beautiful garden. Within each inside you goes beautiful apartment, and in that beautiful apartment there is a place where they have got a small yagya kund, and they find in that beautiful dioramas of deities rather of Sita and Ram getting married. So this is the exact place, Sita Vivaha Mandap, where Sita and Ram got married. The third place which we will visit while we are in Janakpur is Ganga Sagar Sarovar or Ganga Sagar Lake. What is Ganga Sagar Lake? There's a beautiful description in the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is a description of a great king, King Nimi, in the line of Janak Maharaj as a descendant. King Nimi, like Janak Maharaj, was a great Mahabharata. So he was also very much caring for his citizens. So there was a muhurat in which he had to do a yagya so that his citizens could get the benefit, auspicious time. So he approached or sent a letter to Vashishta Maharaj, Vashishta Muni, to come and do the yagya. So Vashishta Muni sent the information later back that I am already bound or planned, committed to do a yagya for Indra. So after I do that yagya, I'll come later. Now, in those days, yajnas were not just for a few hours, as we see today, just 2 hours, 1 hour, we have yajnas here. Those time yajnas were long yajnas. They would take centuries or even 1,000 years. So Nimimar did not wait so long for his benefit of his kingdom. He thought, I can do another yajna later. But right now, at this auspicious time, I need to do a beautiful yajna. So he arranged with the advice of his rishis and munis, and they also agreed for their proposal. And he arranged for a yajna with some other great, well-known priest. So the yajna was happening. Meanwhile, here the yajna finished here, and and Vasishta Muni got information that King Nimi did a yajna without him. So without understanding much why he did, Vasishta felt very sad. He felt that what kind of etiquette the king is following. Huh? He's so he wants to live a very fast life. He wants to do everything fast, no caring of etiquettes, and just want to do yajna. I have decided to do yajna, so I'll do it. So Vashishta became a little upset, and in upset and anger, he cursed King Nimi that because you're behaving like an ordinary person, let your body fall apart. So King Nimi heard this. He was surprised. Without understanding the full reason, how can such a great sage Vashishta Muni curse me? And that he was looking at his own body, the body was falling apart, he was about to die. So King Nimi also, in frustration, was thinking, what kind of curse is this? So he also pronounced the same curse to Vashishta Muni. May you also get the same kind of curse. So now both of them fell apart and they died. It's a very strange story. But let's see, the story doesn't end here. The end of the story, when we reach, then we understand why certain things happen, why Krishna arranges certain events in the life of great people. Vasishta was a great sage, Bhima was a great Raja, king. So it is mentioned Vasishta was so powerful, King Nimi was so powerful that they could keep their life intact even though their body had gone away. So it is mentioned that Vasishta again took birth from the womb of Urvashi through Mitra and Varuna. And later it is mentioned King Nimi, his body was preserved by his residents, by the residents of King Janakpur, his subjects. And then the yagya which was going on, that yagya completed, and great demigods came in the yagya to take their share. At that time, everyone in the residents of the palace of the kingdom, they requested the demigods, kindly bring our king back to life. And the demigods had a easy task. They had to do some mantras and herbs and some blessings and get the king back to life. So as they're getting king back to life, the king was still who had kept his life intact. He started complaining. He said, "No, don't do anything. Right now, my time has come to leave. So I don't want to come back to this material world. I can see that my path to the kingdom of God is paved in. Already, I have to go there. So let me go. Why you bring me again here and I have to suffer in this material world again?" So with that object, it is mentioned Nimi Maharaj went back home, back to Godhead. Such was the great determination of Nimi. Even though given a chance to come again, life, he rather opted to go back home, back to Godhead. So now all the rishis and munis, they came together and decided that we need a king. So what to do? So they decided to churn the body of King Nimi. So they decided to churn the body of King Nimi at a particular location in Janakpur. And while churning, it is mentioned, while churning was going on, manthan was going on, all auspicious rivers and waters were coming on the body of King Nimi because of his great pure devotional service. And that place where King Nimi's body was kept got filled with lot of water. It is mentioned that after churning a lot from King Nimi's body came a beautiful prince who went on to become the next king. His name was Mithi because he was born from Manthan. He became Mithi. And he became another popular king, so much popular that he actually later, because of him, the word Mithila also came. So there are various stories of how Mithila came before, after. But Mithi also was instrumental to give the correct name of Mithila to this particular kingdom. So King Mithi was born, and also waters came from the body of King Nimi. That very place where King Nimi's body was churned turned out to be a reservoir of water from his body. And that water reservoir is still there in Janakpur. And that's this Ganga Sagar Sarovar, which we were talking about few minutes back. The next place to visit in Janakpur, holy place, is the lake called as Dhanush Sagar. What is Dhanush Sagar? We were discussing about Lord Ram lifting the Dhanush and stringing the bow, and then after that, what happened? The bow broke into three. So these three pieces where they went. One went in the Patal, netherworlds, one went to the Swarga, and one stayed on the Earth planet. So that part which went to Swarga. And there is no connection, there is no description of where it went. That which went to netherworld is this Dhanush Sagar lake. This Dhanush Sagar lake is the place from where the Dhanush part entered into the earth and went into the Pataloka. And because it went via the ground medium, that ground created a sarovar, a kind of a reservoir of water, a kund, and that became called as Dhanush Sagar. So this is a beautiful description of Dhanush Sagar. Someone may ask, what about the third piece where it went? So it is mentioned the third piece flew on the Earth planet, not very far away, just 40 kilometers from Janakpur is a place where the small piece of Dhanush was thrown away. It landed in one place and it turned into a stone structure. Today, also that stone structure, which is actually a part of Dhanush, is still seen, and that place is called as Dhanush Dham. It is 40 kilometers away from Janakpur, further into Nepal. So these are the few descriptions of places within Janakpur. The last place within Janakpur to watch and see is the river called as Dudhmati. Actually, now it's not a river; it's a small pond. But previously, it was a river. How the river was created? The river was created wherein when Sita, she was born from the ground. So when she was within the ground, it is mentioned that all the demigods were thinking how to feed, how to offer bhoga to Mother Sita. She's inside the ground in a box. So a Kamadhenu cow was sent. And this Kamadhenu cow would go to that place where Sita was under the ground and every day feed milk from her udders. She fed so much of milk that even a milk was turning into it was like a turning into a stream and eventually became a river. So much so that the river flowed all the way through Janakpur, right? It was in a different place where Sita was born, and then from there flew to Janakpur, and here it remained here. And now at this current position, it is not more a river; it is a small pond. So the locals here say that the river, the Dudhimati River, is a very auspicious place where a lot of festivals and melas to take place even today. In fact, they say that sometimes you also can see this water is also a little whitish in color to commemorate the whole idea of Dudhimati as its name. So Dudhimati is also a beautiful place within Janakpur region. Now, as we're discussing about Janakpur places within Janakpur, now let's move to the third part of this discussing places outside Janakpur. So we have many places. Prominently, we'll discuss uh, two of them. One is Sita Madi and second is Ahilyastan. So Sita Madi, what is Sita Madi? Sita Madi is a place, a beautiful place where Sita Devi was born, appeared. Janak Maharaj and his wife Sunaina, they had no children. So they were not happy. They were feeling some emptiness in their life. So they approached some great sages and they advised them that you should do a yagya. Choose a beautiful tract of land which is very pure. That tract of land you should till with your own hands with bulls. And then after that, you should arrange that land to do yagya also. So Janak Maharaj was very pleased. Being a king, he looked himself for a land. He found a land which is today around 50 kilometers from Janakpur the in the vicinity in the side of India. It's in the Indian location. So that place is called as today Sita Mari or Sita Marhi. So Sita Mari is a place where the land for Yagya was located. Janak Maharaj himself was plowing and tilling that land. So as he was plowing, suddenly the plow hit something in the ground and could not move. The bulls were trying their best but still could not move. So Janak Maharaj immediately asked his people to dig this area so that we can remove the plow. So they dig that area and they found a beautiful golden box. And Janak Maharaj opened the beautiful golden box. In that golden box, he found a beautiful lotus flower. And that beautiful lotus flower, he saw the most beautiful looking small girl who was smiling at Janak Maharaj, looking at Janak Maharaj, and trying to show her hand to Janak Maharaj to pick her up. Janak Maharaj so happy, he picked up that this little girl, Sita, and embraced her to his heart. Because Sita was born, Mother Sita was born here. Her name came Sita because of his birth pastime. It is said in the local Hindi language that, or traditional Maithili language, that this plow or hull, the agra part, that pointed part of that hull, is called Sita. Is called Sita, and because that was the reason of which the Janak Maharaj got his beautiful daughter. So she came because of Sita, so she got the name Sita. It's amazing. Sita actually is an eternal name, but somehow or other, sometimes we can see that Lord and Goddess of Fortune give that credit to even a plow, that she got a name from the plow. Sita, Sita. Sita, Janaki, Maithili. In Janakpur, Lord Ram is not called as Lord Ram. Lord Ram is called as Sitapati. That's how he is addressed, Sitapati or Sitanath, like that. So we can see that this beautiful place of Sitamarhi within Bihar state, very close to Muzaffarpur and on the borders of India and Nepal, and just 40 kilometers from Janakpur. It's a very famous place, very well known on the Indian maps as well. It's a very big place, and in that within that this there is this place called as Sita Kund or Ram Janki Mandir. So to commemorate the past time, it is mentioned a place where she appeared from, became a kund, was dug as a kund, and beautiful water is there. Some versions say that some people say that Janak Maharaj did not do yagya, did not plow anything. In fact, he came here and found this beautiful girl Sita on floating on a lotus in this kund. So whatever the version may be, but the idea is that the kund is there where the actual birthplace of Mother Sita. So this is Sita Madi in the Indian side. Then the next location which we will go and see for a place around Janakpur is Ahilya Sthan. Ahilya Sthan is very close to Sita Mari. In fact, Ahilya Sthan is around 45 kilometers equidistance from Janakpur as well. It is more closer to Darbhanga city in Bihar. What is Ahilya Sthan? As the name shows, that here Ahilya was delivered by Lord Ram. Lord Ram and Lakshman were following Vishwamitra Muni to Mithila. As they were going, we were mentioning about different places they were visiting, and Vishwamitra Muni was telling beautiful katha about that place. So when they came here, Vishwamitra Muni said, "This is actually this was initially a blessed place, but now it has become like a deserted place." Lord Ram asked why. He said, "Because of the curse of Gautam Rishi." What is Gautam Rishi's curse? Why? So then the whole incident, Vishwamitra Muni said that how Gautam Rishi was staying in a hermitage here with his wife Ahilya was very chaste. However, Indra, disguised as Gautam Rishi, came and copulated with Ahilya. And Ahilya could understand that this was not his husband, but she did not still deny. And because of the factor later when Gautam Rishi came to know that Indra made this huge mistake and that how Ahilya also got into this trap. So he became very angry and disturbed and immediately cursed Indra for this false act by removing all the masculine power of creativity from his life. And then he cursed Ahilya that because you have been uh, become impure by this act, so therefore you have to now become a stone. So immediately she became a stone. And it was told that Gautam Rishi said, you will remain stone for many, many thousands of years. And as a stone staying here, you will do tapasya to purify yourself. And due course of time, Lord Ram, the incarnation of the Lord will come here and place his lotus feet on your head and fully purify you. And at that time, you'll be again back into your normal form. And then you can come and reunite with me and stay with me. So since many, many thousands of years, Ahilya had been a stone. So Vishwamitra told the whole story of Lord Ram. Lord Ram saw Vishwamitra Muni and Vishwamitra Muni said, just step ahead and place your lotus feet, place your lotus feet on the stone. So Lord Ram placed the lotus feet on the stone, and lo and behold, as we see here, that Lord Ram brought back Ahilya into a normal form. And this beautiful place is still there, Ahilya Sthan, in the state of Bihar. So in this way, it is mentioned that there are many more places like this which are told in small places which are told in many guides as we go to Janakpuri. There are many small things, small pastimes there. Considering the time now, we will venture into a beautiful another part where we will discuss various stories of other saints and sages which happened in Janakpur. So there is a story that Janakpur is not just famous only in Ramayana, but Janakpur also has mentions in Puranas, Bhagavad, etc. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in 10th canto that Lord Krishna also came to Mithila twice. Why he came to Mithila? The first time it is mentioned, Lord came to Mithila is because there were two devotees of Lord Krishna. One was the king himself, who was in the line of Janak Maharaj. His name was King Bahulashva. And there was one other Brahmana, a great devotee. Brahmana's name was Shrutadeva. So they were so great, wonderful devotees that their devotion attracted the attention of king. And king decided to meet them. Their devotion attracted the attention of Krishna. And the Krishna thought to meet them. So to meet them, Krishna drew in his chariot from Dwarka, from one end of India to other end, to Mithila. And when he came there, he was thinking, Krishna was thinking, where should I go first, Shrutadeva or Bahulashva? Then king knew that they are both equally devotees, even though their status quo is different in terms of their wealth and their possessions. So king, the Krishna then divided, Lord Krishna divided himself in two. And in one place he went to Shrutadeva's house, and then in the next role he went to the house of Bahulashva at the same time. So went to Bahulashva's house. Bahulashva as a king, he welcomed Krishna, his own Lord, fitting the opulence of whatever he had. He gave everything for Lord Krishna's welcome. The Lord Krishna is a husband of goddess of fortune. So he thought, what is my fortune? It is negligible compared to what I can offer. So whatever he had, he gave all his opulence in service to Krishna, tan, man, dhan, as they say, everything, mind, body, words. He glorified, he arranged for fabulous welcome arrangements. Krishna was very happy with the way how Bahulashva was treating him. Krishna also had gone to Shrutadeva's house. Now, he was a very poor Brahmana. He did not have much anything. But whatever provisions he had, he welcomed Krishna to his house. His wife cooked a simple meal and he did not know how to entertain Krishna. So it is mentioned that he took his shawl and started dancing and waving the shawl. And Krishna was very pleased with the simple entertainment he had got. Bahulashva arranged a huge musical entertainment, devotional entertainment. Here he was dancing by himself and making Krishna happy. So Krishna came to Mithila to meet his two devotees, Shrutadev and Bahulashva. Elsewhere, another occasion Krishna came was within the time of the event of the stealing of Samantaka jewel. It is mentioned that Satyajit had received Samantaka jewel again back from Krishna after marrying Satyabhama. However, Akrura was not happy that Satyajit had kept Samantaka jewel with him and was not giving it to Krishna. Shatadhanu also was not happy with Satyajit because he thought Satyajit had promised him to give his daughter in marriage to him. But in the turn of an event, he just gave his daughter Satyabhama in marriage to Krishna. So he was not happy. He did not keep his word. So then there was something in common that they were having grudge against whom? Satyajit. So Shatadhanu plotted with Akrura and he said that I'll take care of him and I'll get back the Samantaka jewel and you can give it to Krishna. So Shatadhanu went and in that disagreement with Satyajit, Shatadhanu actually landed up killing Satyajit. So Satyajit was killed. Shatadhanu understood that this is a very dangerous event which has happened. So Shatadhanu, out of envy, killed Satyajit, and he took the jewel and ran away. So he was realizing that this jewel is very inauspicious for me. So he gave the jewel to Akrura and he started running away for his life. Meanwhile, when Satyabhama came to know that her father has died, she was crying piteously and she went to Krishna. Krishna at that time, it is mentioned, had gone to Hastinapur because he had received a news, which was actually a false news, that the Pandavas had died in the house of Black in Varnavrat. So Krishna knew that they had not died, but Krishna just playing the role of an ordinary human being in terms of people in Hastinapur could see like that. So Krishna went to take part in the grief of the family. So Satyabhama came running to Hastinapur and said that the father-in-law is dead. Lord Krishna also again cried. And Lord Krishna said, who did that? He came to Shatadhanuma has done this. So Akrura had got his Samantaka jewel and he had ran and escaped from that place and gone to Varanasi with his relative's house. Meanwhile, Shatadhanuma had run because he was the one who killed Satyajit. So Krishna and Balaram, they took a chariot from Dwarka and they followed that path where Shatadhanava had taken to run away. So Krishna can catch anyone, right? But no one can catch a Krishna. So even though Shatadhanava had traveled a long distance, Krishna could catch him very easily. Shatadhanava realized that his life was in stake. Krishna was following him just behind. So after some time, due to immense struggle of continuous running, his horses became tired. So he left those horses and he ran on the feet. And this time Krishna reached that place, and then Krishna immediately killed Sharadhanava and delivered him. And then he was looking for Shamantaka jewel, but did not find Shamantaka jewel. So Krishna decided to come back to Dwarka. He told Balramji, let's go to Dwarka. We finished half of our mission of actually killing at least Sharadhanava. Balramji said that we have come here, you can see this is already Mithila here, we have reached up to Mithila. So if you feel you can go back, but I would like to stay here for some more time. Balramji said that I have this king is a great devotee of mine. He was always inviting me, so might as well I stay here a few days and come back later. So Krishna came back alone from Mithila to Dwarka. Lord Balram stayed in Mithila, and hearing that Lord Balram is in Mithila, Duryodhan got the clue, and Duryodhan came to this place and learned all the skills of mace fighting, Gada Yuddha, from Balramji here. So in this way, we can see that Balramji Krishna came to Mithila as well. There is a beautiful description of how King Nibi, which we were discussing earlier. King Nibi's description is also found in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. How he was also very eager to hear Bhagavatam. And therefore, it is mentioned that when he was eager to hear Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that at that time, out of nowhere, nine great sages known as Navayogendras, who were among the 100 sons of Lord Rishabdev, the Vairagi nine sons of Rishabdev, who were Paramahansas, they were wandering wherever they wished, wherever Krishna guided them, and they came to this place suddenly. And Nimi Maharaj was so happy that his desire to hear Bhagavat was fulfilled. And who else, not just one, but nine great devotees of Lord had come to give him association. So that great description of Nimi Maharaj and his discussion with the Navayogendras are mentioned in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that also happened in Mithila here. It is said that Mithila is also known for a great Vaishnava poet whose name is Vidyapati. Vidyapati was such a nice, wonderful Vaishnava poet that his songs are famous. He happened to be born around that same time before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, it is mentioned. So around that time, Vidyapati was in Mithila, and his works, his bhajans, his songs, his poems became famous because of his pure devotion to Lord Hari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during his last stage of his pastimes on this earth planet, while he was experiencing ecstasy of the love of his devotees, Sri Radha and Gopis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would always be very fond of hearing the beautiful esoteric songs of Chandidas and Vidyapati. Vidyapati was very intimately associated with Krishna and his beautiful pastimes. So he could visualize those pastimes, and he wrote those pastimes in the form of poems. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear this beautiful bhajans from the lotus mouth of Swarup Damodar Maharaj. And then it is mentioned that he would also hear Geet Govind of Jayadev Goswami. So these three primary devotees, great devotees, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fond of hearing: Vidyapati, Chandidas, and Jayadev Goswami. It is said that when Vidyapati was in Mithila, at that time Advait Acharya also visited Mithila because he was a great Pandit. So he had gone there to to read and study Nyaya. Mithila was also a very learned center for Nyaya study, logical study. So Advait Acharya, when he was there, once while he was residing in Mithila, he heard some beautiful bhajan being sung by someone. So his attention was taken away and he went walking to a place, and there under a tree he saw Vidyapati reciting with eyes closed the beautiful bhajans singing composed by himself of Shri Radha and Krishna. Advaitacharya became so happy, and Advaitacharya blessed him with Krishna Prem at this place. So that beautiful description is also mentioned in the scriptures about Vidyapati. So it is said that in this way Vidyapati stayed here, lived here. It is also mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was born in Navadip. And he also, when he was a great scholar, he was coming up as a great scholar. He wanted to learn Nyaya. So he was sent to Mithila to learn Nyaya. So he was studying under one Bakshadhar Mishra, and Bakshadhar Mishra had a great standing of being the greatest Nyaya Pandit. So he had a special style of working. This Pandit would teach everyone Nyaya, but would not allow anyone to take notes because he found that Nyaya here in Mithila is special than any other place. So no one should duplicate it. He should learn this and then just go away. But can't take any notes, can't take any books from here. So this Mithila was always considered to be undefeated place for Nyaya. Sarvam Bhattacharya, when he went there, right, he was studying from the school of Pakshadhar Mishra, but he was not allowed to take notes. But Sarvam Bhattacharya was such a powerful scholar. He had a great memory. He learned everything in what Pakshadhar Mishra taught him about Nyaya. He remembered that, and when he came out of Mithila, immediately he wrote all that in a form of book and brought it to Navadip. In this way, Navadip's name became more famous now as the second place where someone can learn Nyaya under Sarvam Bhattacharya. And eventually, Sarvam Bhattacharya's great learning attracted the attention of King of Odisha, and he bought them. He got him from Bengal to Odisha as his own Pandit or his own Rajguru, the king's guru. So these are beautiful pastimes of this place. It is also mentioned that in the Gaur Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, King Janak appeared as Sri Vallabhji, who came there as the father of Lakshmi Priya Devi and who gave his daughter Lakshmi Priya, who is none other than Sita, in hands in marriage to Lord Gauranga, Lord Vishwambhar. So in this way, we can see that we today saw beautifully the pastimes of Sita Devi in Janakpur and around Janakpur. We saw different places within Janakpur, and we also saw different places outside Janakpur in the vicinity of Janakpur. There are so many festivals which take place in Janakpur city on the occasion of various tithis. The two prominent festivals which happens in Janakpur is the the celebration of Mother Sita's appearance. It's a very great pomp and great festivity. This whole occasion is celebrated. And another festival is Sita's marriage with Lord Ram. So during these two festivals, there is not just one day festival, there's multiple day festival. The people come from all over different places, come walking, come by ride, whatever way from Nepal, from India. And there's a big, huge festival to commemorate the appearance of Mother Sita and later the beautiful marriage of Sita and Ram. So there's something about Janakpur which you could all collect and which you could present here. Thank you so much. जनकपुर धाम की जय श्री श्री सीता राम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी की जय जनक महाराज की जय जनकपुर धाम की जय थैंक यू वेरी मच
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.